Good morning and welcome to Morning Java, brought to you as always by our friends at the Get-Go Cafe and Market, where for a limited time only, Mr. Lolley, they have brought back the Pilgrim.
Yeah, you get a little turkey, a little stuffing, some cranberry sauce, everything that you would have on your Thanksgiving dinner table.
Turkey on a bun. Yeah, that's basically what it is here. The Steelers beat the Bengals. They tend to do that, but they also did it in an atmosphere and in an environment that was always going to somehow feel bigger than the game, to borrow from Mike Tomlin's words.
Yeah, I mean, this was their first trip back to Cincinnati after the Ryan Shazier injury. He, of course, was on the trip, made the journey over to the hospital that treated him.
On the field.
He was on the field, walking around, talking to people, and they had a little thing for him after the game where he kind of addressed the team. And so it was a good day for them in that respect. I guess kind of cathartic probably a little bit for Ryan Shazier to come back here and revisit this and put this in his past.
And everything, and you know, when you watched Mike Tomlin at the press conference, and you and I were both in there, it takes a lot to get him to soften up, especially after an AFC North game. But when you could see it, when he started talking about Shazier, he kind of backed off from the podium. A lot of the players that I talked to, they didn't make it like a rallying cry. You know what I mean?
Right.
But they went out and they got the job done.
Yeah, it was something that was bigger than the game itself.
Yes. 1:18 was left on the clock when the Steelers got the ball
maybe
back.
the Steelers season if they don't score.
Really?
It would have been a big deal.
I mean, it would have been
a big
rough.
deal losing
I mean,
this game.
it would have been. And they look up, they see that time on the clock. Ben Roethlisberger, by all accounts, and the players they told me, he says that's too much time. They've left us too much time. And they go out and they get the job done. Not just getting into field goal position, which theoretically should be enough to win the game, but then on the just beautiful trademark Ben A.B. split there.
Yeah, I mean, for some reason, the Bengals went zero coverage on that. They blitzed a bunch of guys, and that left Antonio Brown one-on-one, and that's just not fair.
No, it tends not to be. The funny thing is, Dale, he had one catch for 9 yards in the first half, and he's one of those players who, when you see a great player go through any kind of slump, your only thought is it's literally just a matter of time. Like something good's about to happen. So you know you're going to get a great AB in the second half.
Yeah, it was like a ticking bomb. You could kind of see it happening. I thought at halftime they would try to figure out ways to get him the football, and he finished with over 100 yards despite having 9 in the first half on one catch.
And the guys who cannot go unmentioned here when it comes to that drive and the whole game is the offensive line, because as Marquise Pouncey was gleefully pointing out to me on the way out of the locker room, have you ever seen a quarterback's jersey that clean in this room? And he's right.
One hit on Ben Roethlisberger in the entire game.
Also not to be forgotten in this offense, and I mean this in the literal sense, is James Conner. Because guess what? You know, I don't know if he's going to be the starting running back after this.
Nobody does. I mean, really, Le'Veon Bell could show up today. He could show up tomorrow. He could show up Friday. He could not show up at all. Really, I mean, nobody really knows. I don't even know that Le'Veon Bell's agent or anybody around him would know.
No.
I just think that this is totally his decision, whether he comes in or not. We'll see. But James Conner ran hard today once again. Back-to-back games over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. And delivered some Vance McDonald-like blows out there.
I was going to say, that's the thing that stuck out for me. First of all, I didn't like his work in the opening series or two. I felt there were holes out there that he wasn't hitting hard enough. And, you know, again, you talk about a guy whose DNA is wired a certain way. He was going to do that at some point. And once he started doing that, maybe it was
They started doing it using the lead. They started using a little lead blocker more as well. As we laid out on the site this week, he's much better when he's able to follow somebody. And I thought Pouncey did a great job pulling. I thought the Castro did a great job.
Was really good. Ramon had a couple of good ones down the field too, and they made a lot of things happen with the running game, and it was efficient and it was powerful. That's the thing that stood out for me.
Yeah, that's Sean Williams.
Oh yeah. I think. Wait, there he is, still out there. Nah, it's not funny. If you look at what they did overall, though, between McDonald and Conner,
they exerted their will.
Yeah, and there's something to be said for that still, even in the modern NFL where that's maybe not as big a deal as it used to be. Okay, it wasn't perfect. I mean, not offensively, not defensively. certainly not on special teams.
Right. That was probably their worst game of the year, and that's saying something.
And I still come back to Artie Burns because he's making mistakes that put points on the board for the other team. And I just wonder what the solution is here. I'm not going to suggest that it's Cody Sensabaugh.
It's not Cody Sensabaugh. And Artie had actually played well the last couple of weeks. He had a rough go in this one for sure. That kind of, put a damper on what was a good defensive effort overall. They held that offense to under 300 yards. That's the first time this season that they've done that in a game.
Sure.
And to do it against Cincinnati at their stadium is big. But he can't continue to make those same mistakes.
What do you do, though, Dale? What do you do with him? I mean, it's easy for us to say, or anybody to say, "Oh, bench him, he stinks." But what are you going to do? I mean, if it's not Sensabaugh, it doesn't look any better. I didn't think Cam Sutton was particularly effective.
I thought Sutton did a good for what they're asking him to do with cover tight ends.
Yeah.
I think he's doing a good job with that. Coming into this game, Artie Burns had given up only 5 completions in his last 12 pass attempts.
Right.
That's over a course of 2 games. So he'd been better.
Yeah.
But he just can't keep riding that roller coaster. You need him to just be steady. He doesn't have to be great. Just
so
be
you're
steady.
sticking by him. You're going to give him the bye week, and
I think you have to because
Yeah.
what else are you going to do?
I
Cody
know.
Sensabaugh is not the answer.
No,
we'll
he's
see
not.
if they, maybe if they get Morgan Burnett back. Knock on wood, coming out of the bye, which is what they expect to do.
Sure.
Maybe then they try Cody or Cam Sutton on the outside to see what that looks like. But that's really your only other option.
Can Mike Hilton play the outside at all?
No, he's too small.
just too small.
And he's not fast enough.
No.
That's not his forte.
No, we still like him, though.
Yes.